He could be sitting across from you right now, looking calm, smiling, maybe even cracking a joke that makes your stomach flutter just a little. And yet, something feels missing. You don't know what it is, not exactly. He texts back, he makes plans, he listens kind of. But there's this wall you can't get through no matter how close you try to get. Like there's a door inside him, locked from the inside, and you can feel yourself starting to ache, just standing outside of it. So you wonder, is he really falling for me? Or is he just passing time? And if he is falling, why won't he show it? What if I told you, he already is? But the way a man loves, especially when he's beginning to fall, it's not always loud. It's not always clear. It's not even always conscious. Sometimes it's hidden, not out of manipulation. Not because he's playing a game, but because falling in love cracks open parts of him that even he hasn't faced. And instead of revealing more, he tightens, protects, retreats. But the signs are still there, quiet, subtle, sometimes messy, but they're there. And today, I want to take you through them. Not like a list, but like a story. Because love, especially a man's hidden love, isn't bullet points on a screen. It's a slow unraveling. And if you know how to listen, you'll hear it in the pauses, the stumbles, the things he says and then takes back, the way he stays when he could have run. This video is for the women who feel like they're giving too much and still not sure what's real. It's for the men who don't know how to say what their hearts are screaming. And it's for the part of you, the deep part that just wants someone to be real with you. If this speaks to something inside you, stay. And if you're not already part of this space, take a moment to subscribe. Not out of pressure, but because this space is made for hearts like yours, for truth, for healing, for the kind of love that doesn't pretend. Let's begin. The first thing he hides is his fear. Not the kind of fear you see in the movies, dramatic, full of chaos. No, this one is quieter. It shows up when he cancels a plan last minute and doesn't give a real reason. When he seems distant after a deep conversation. When he ghosts you for a day and then returns like nothing happened, offering only a half-hearted excuse. You think you did something wrong. You replay your words, your tone. That moment you leaned in just a little too close. That message you sent that maybe sounded too soft, too much, too soon. But he's not pulling back because of you. He's pulling back because of what you make him feel. When a man starts falling in love, something inside him begins to panic, especially if he's been hurt before, or if he grew up in a home where love was unpredictable, where affection came with conditions, or silence was used as a weapon. He doesn't trust love, not because it's you, but because love, to him, has always meant risk, losing control, becoming vulnerable in a way that feels like handing someone the keys to his inner world and praying they don't destroy it. And when he begins to feel that familiar pull, the softness, the care, the safety, it feels too good, too warm, too close. And close has always meant danger. So he'll retreat, he'll test your patience, he'll go silent, then overcompensate. He'll pick small fights, or suddenly focus too hard on his job, his goals, his routine, anything that keeps his feelings at bay. But here's the thing no one tells you. When a man starts fearing you, it's not because you're unsafe, it's because you're starting to matter. And when you matter, he can no longer hide behind detachment. You see, falling in love demands surrender. And surrender is something he has never been taught how to do. So instead, he fumbles, he hides, he pretends not to feel what he feels. And you, standing there, heart open and eyes searching, you feel that ache in your chest, the ache of almost, of maybe, of waiting for him to meet you where you already are. But don't mistake his fear for indifference. Fear doesn't mean he won't show up. It means he's learning how. He's not afraid of you. He's afraid of what loving you will require of him. And somewhere deep inside, he knows the boy in him can't survive that love. Only the man can. And becoming that man, that's the battle he's silently fighting. The second thing he hides is his softness. Not because it isn't there, but because it's been punished before. There's a tenderness inside him that doesn't quite know where to go. Maybe once, long ago, he showed it to someone. A parent, a friend, a past love. And they didn't handle it with care. Maybe they laughed. Maybe they left. Maybe they turned it against him. So now he tucks it away. But when he's falling, It starts to peek through. You'll see it in the smallest things. The way he listens when you talk about your dreams, really listens. The way he remembers details you didn't think mattered. The way he looks at you, not just with attraction, but with a kind of awe, like he's memorizing your presence. But then, he'll pull back again, because showing you that softness, that's dangerous ground. To love someone openly means allowing them to hold the most breakable parts of you. And if you've never seen that end well, if every time you tried to be real, it ended in disappointment, you learn to build walls. And yet, love doesn't grow behind walls. So here he island caught. He wants to show you. He wants to open up. He wants to let you in. But every instinct tells him to protect himself, not because you're untrustworthy, but because his heart still echoes with old pain. So he'll do things that feel contradictory. He'll say something incredibly sweet, then change the subject. He'll open up about his past, then get distant the next day. He'll show up for you when you're down, then disappear when he's struggling. You'll feel it. The uneven rhythm, the tenderness that flickers, then fades. And you might wonder, is this real? But here's the truth, he's not being fake. He's being careful. He's testing the waters of what it means to be held, emotionally. Not fixed, not judged, just held. Because when a man is falling, his heart becomes louder than his logic. And that softness, the part of him that aches to give and receive love, begins to rise up. It terrifies him. But it also calls him forward. And if you're patient, if you don't shame it, if you simply meet it with your presence, not pressure, it will grow. And in time, that soft part of him, the one he used to hide, will become the part he gives you most freely. Not because you demanded it, but because you became the one place he no longer had to pretend. The third thing he hides is how much he watches you when you're not looking. Not in the obvious ways, not just your hair, your eyes, the curve of your smile, but in the subtle things, the way you speak about people you love, the tone you use when you're tired and trying to hide it, the way your shoulders rise just slightly when something makes you anxious, the way your voice softens when you talk about your childhood, or hardens when you talk about your boundaries. He notices, even when he pretends he doesn't, because falling in love for a man is often a silent gathering of moments, little pieces of you that collect quietly in his mind, until one day he realizes you're already everywhere. But he won't say that out loud. Not yet. He'll just keep observing, not to study you, but to understand how to love you. Because for a man who truly feels, love isn't something he rushes into. It's something he tries to get right. And getting it right means knowing your pain, your joys, your needs, especially the ones you don't voice. So when he's falling, you might catch him staring, not in a way that feels invasive, but in a way that feels thoughtful, quietly invested. And then, like always, he'll look away. He'll change the subject. He'll make a joke to brush it off. Because letting you see how deeply he's paying attention, that would expose more than he's ready for. He's scared to seem too into you, too soon. Because he knows what it feels like to fall alone. He knows what it's like to be vulnerable first, only to be left holding that weight alone. So instead, he plays it cool. He waits. He watches. But in the space between your words, he's noticing everything. He sees the way you retreat when you're overwhelmed. He catches that flicker of self-doubt when you laugh and look away. He stores the names of the people who've hurt you, not to resent them, but to understand what not to be. And in that quiet attentiveness is his love, beginning. A love that isn't loud, isn't polished, but real, and still forming. Because sometimes the man who says the least is the one who's feeling the most. And sometimes, the way he watches you is a prayer he doesn't yet know how to speak. The fourth thing he hides is his jealousy, not the toxic kind, not the kind that tries to control or cage you, but the quiet kind, the kind that catches him off guard when he sees how easily you light up with someone else. When you mention a man from your past, even in passing, and his chest tightens without permission, he doesn't want to feel it. He doesn't want to show it, because jealousy, to him, feels like weakness. And weakness is something he was taught to bury, not reveal, so he swallows it. But you'll feel it. If you know where to look, you'll feel it in the moment he goes silent after you mention an old friend, in the way he suddenly seems distracted, distant, just for a beat, in the questions he asks laced with curiosity, but really, quietly digging for reassurance. He won't say it directly, But the truth is, you're becoming sacred territory to him. And the idea of someone else having access to your smile, your softness, your story, it shakes him. Not because he thinks he owns you, but because your presence has started to feel like peace. And he doesn't know how to protect something that delicate without fear of losing it. So he wrestles. He tells himself he's being rational. He talks himself out of the emotion. But deep down, there's a boy inside him. A boy who was once overlooked, unseen, replaced. And that boy still flinches when love feels uncertain. He tries to stay composed. But inside, he's already imagining what it would mean to lose you. And in that imagined loss is the clearest proof that he's already invested far more than he lets on. You might notice him becoming a little more attentive after those moments, more present, more affirming, as if somewhere deep inside he's trying to remind you and maybe even himself that he still matters to you, that he's still wanted. Because when a man is falling, even the smallest signs that you could belong to someone else, past or future, awaken a storm inside him, not because he doesn't trust you, but because he's still learning to trust that something this real won't leave. The fifth thing he hides is how deeply he wants to be chosen. Not just liked, not just wanted, chosen. You see, there's a difference. Being liked is flattering. Being wanted is exciting. But being chosen, really chosen, that's something else. That's where all his wounds live. That's where the question hides. Am I enough to be someone's first, not just their fallback? He may never say it out loud. He may not even realize he's feeling it. But every time you show up, when you laugh at his dry jokes, when you ask about his day and actually mean it, when you make space for his silences without needing to fill them, something softens in him, because so much of his life has been spent performing, achieving, becoming what the world needed him to be. But you just see him, and that terrifies him as much as it heals him. He's been the strong one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't ask for much but gives everything, the one who people depend on, but never really look into. And suddenly, with you, he feels seen not just for what he does, but for who he is underneath it. He wants to know you see the man behind the armor. He wants to feel like he doesn't have to fight for his place in your heart, but he won't ask for that directly. Instead, he'll wait, he'll watch, he'll test in ways he doesn't even realize, noticing if you show up when it's not convenient, if you care when he's not performing, if you still want him when he's quiet, when he's unsure, when he's simply human. And when you do, when you choose him in those moments, something shifts. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's just steady, like the ground beneath him finally stopped shaking. He doesn't want you to fix him, or worship him, or chase him. He just wants to know he's safe to love you fully, and that he doesn't have to earn your affection like a prize he might lose. Because when a man is falling in love, what he craves most is not passion, it's peace. It's knowing he's not a backup plan, not a temporary thrill, not someone you'll get tired of when life gets messy. He wants to be chosen again and again by someone who sees all of him and stays. The sixth thing he hides is his longing to be understood without having to explain himself. Not because he expects mind reading, not because he's trying to be mysterious, but because he's tired. Tired of translating his silence into words. Tired of being told he's too much when he cares too deeply, or too cold when he shuts down to protect himself. Tired of people assuming his quiet means disinterest, when in truth, he's screaming on the inside. And so, when he starts falling, this longing resurfaces louder than ever. He starts hoping that maybe this time, he won't have to wear a mask. That maybe this time, someone will actually hear what he's not saying, instead of demanding answers he doesn't have the language for. Because for many men, the language of love doesn't always come in sentences. It comes in actions, in presence, in staying up late to hear you talk about your day, in fixing that thing you didn't ask him to fix, in walking you to your car just to make sure you're safe, even when he doesn't say a word. And he hopes you see it. He hopes you feel it. Because if you do, he starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, he can finally rest. He doesn't need someone perfect. He doesn't expect you to never get frustrated. But what he secretly hopes for is someone who won't shame him for being hard to read sometimes. Someone who won't walk away just because he needs a little more time to open up. Someone who understands that the quiet ones are often carrying the loudest hearts. He hides how much he needs that, because needing anything, especially emotionally, was something he was trained to deny. But when he's falling, the need grows undeniable. You'll see it when he leans into you without realizing, when he remembers something you said weeks ago, when he asks you about your past, not to judge, but to feel closer to your truth. These are the cracks forming in his usual armor, the small, brave ways he's trying to let you in without having to lose his dignity to do it. And if he sees that you get it, if he feels that your understanding isn't conditional, he starts to trust, not just you, but love itself. Because what he hides most is how deeply he wants to be known, and how much he's been waiting for a kind of love that listens even in the silence. The seventh thing he hides is the way he's already imagining a future with you. Not because he's trying to rush it, not because he's desperate, but because when a man begins to fall in love truly, vulnerably, soul deep, his mind starts to build a life around the feeling. Quietly, secretly, carefully, he pictures the small things first. You laughing in the passenger seat of his car, you curled up next to him on a rainy Sunday, you meeting his friends and not just meeting them, but being known by them. Then his thoughts wander deeper. He thinks about what it would feel like to wake up beside you, not just once, but always. He wonders how your hand would feel in his during hard moments, not just happy ones. He imagines how you'd look when you're older. If your eyes would still carry that same fire, if your voice would still calm him the way it does now. But he won't tell you any of this, because saying it out loud feels too vulnerable, too risky, like offering his heart on a platter when he's not even sure if you want it. So instead, he gives you glimpses. He jokes about someday. He nudges your thoughts towards shared experiences, trips, plans, ideas. He brings you into his world just a little more. Maybe you meet his sister. Maybe he tells you about that one place he's always wanted to visit. Maybe he opens up about the kind of father he hopes to be, or the kind of home he dreams of, and you're there, between the lines, even if he doesn't say it outright. Because what he's really doing is seeing if you'll walk into that vision with him. If you'll dare to dream with him, not in fantasies, but in foundations, not in fireworks, but in the fire that stays lit when the lights go out. He hides how much he's already investing in the idea of you and him. Because if he shows it too soon, and you don't feel the same, it'll undo him. But make no mistake, when he starts imagining a life with you, even in fragments, he's not just falling, he's already gone. And what he's hoping, praying, quietly, in the deepest part of him, is that you'll take his hand and say, I see it too. And now, here you are, listening, feeling, maybe even holding your breath. Because somewhere inside, this isn't just about him, it's about you. It's about the way you've doubted your worth when he went quiet. The way you've overgiven, over-explained, overextended, just trying to be enough for someone who couldn't quite name what they were feeling. It's about the ache of waiting for clarity, when all you got were mixed signals. And maybe, right now, something in you is cracking open, because you realize he was feeling something. He just didn't know how to show it, not because you weren't lovable, but because love, for him, has always been tangled in fear, silence, and the weight of what he was never allowed to feel. And maybe you're remembering all the times you thought you were the problem. But you weren't. You were just touching places in him that hadn't healed yet. And healing looks messy. It looks like withdrawal, and hesitation, and feelings without words. It looks like a man standing at the edge of something real, terrified to leap, not because he doesn't want to, but because no one ever told him he'd be caught. So what do you do with this truth? You don't fix him. You don't chase him. You don't shrink yourself, waiting for him to figure it out. You become your own steady flame. You hold your tenderness like the sacred thing it island. And you remember, love doesn't have to be earned. Your softness is not a trap. Your desire for depth is not too much. You're not hard to love. You're just no longer willing to settle for people who hide when it gets real. And if he's truly meant for you, he'll rise. Not perfectly, not quickly, but slowly, like a man learning to breathe again. And maybe one day, he'll tell you that he hid his fear, but you made him feel safe, that he buried his softness, but you never demanded it, so he gave it freely, that he watched you when you weren't looking, and it made him believe in peace again, that he felt jealous, but your loyalty calmed that storm, that he longed to be chosen, and you chose him with your presence, not pressure, that he ached to be understood, and you didn't rush him into words, that he dreamed of a future with you, and you saw it too, and by then, he won't need to hide anymore. He'll stand beside you, fully, because love, real love, doesn't make us disappear. It makes us come home to ourselves. Thank you for being here, for listening with your heart wide open. If this touched something deep in you, if it felt like your story, or maybe his, take a moment, breathe, reflect. And if it feels right, share this with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Not because you have to, but because this space is for you, for the ones who feel deeply, who love bravely, who want more than just connection, they want truth. You belong here. Until next time.